Number 9. Nirupama Prajapati. On January the 3rd of 2021, Nirupama Prajapati and her friends were at a well-known picnicking spot in the Sundargarh district of Odisha, India. Prajapati approached ravine rocks which bordered a turbulent river and began taking photos and selfies. At the same time, another visitor was filming the raging waters and turned the camera to Prajapati, in doing so capturing the sequence of events that would ultimately lead to her death. She was taking selfies while facing the river as a man was trying to pass behind her. He lost his balance on the slippery rocks near the edge and leaned into Prajapati, inadvertently causing her to fall in the water. The cell phone video ended with her being swept away by the strong current. The fire department, along with Prajapati's family, searched the area for 22 hours before ultimately finding her body in a stone cavity on the river, roughly a quarter of a mile from where she'd fallen. Number 8. Fernanda Morella. Avid traveler Fernanda Morella, originally from Brazil, had visited and lived in several countries including Ireland, Germany, Canada and the US before moving to Australia in 2017. According to her friends and family, Morella was focused on making the world a better place and had worked as a volunteer with several organizations and institutions throughout her life. In July of 2021, she went to a cliff in Kangaroo Point in the city of Brisbane. Located in the center of the city along the Brisbane River, the cliffs are a popular spot for rock climbing and abseiling. It was Morella's 33rd birthday and, according to her family, she wanted to mark the occasion with a sunset selfie. As she was posing near the precipice, the woman slipped over 80 feet down the cliffs. Emergency services were called to the scene at around 5 p.m. after Morella was found unresponsive at the base of the rock face. Paramedics attempted to revive her, but she was ultimately pronounced dead at the scene. A spokesperson for Queensland Police reported that there was no evidence to suggest Morella had taken her own life and treated the incident as a case of misadventure. Number 7. Anna Krupeniakova. In 2015, a young woman suffered a fatal accident while taking a selfie on a bridge in Moscow. 21-year-old Anna Krupeniakova and several of her friends were traveling on a sightseeing bus to celebrate the 19th birthday of someone in their group. The vehicle stopped by a bridge and they decided to take a break and capture the sights of the Russian capital. Krupeniakova, a tourism graduate who in a few weeks would have celebrated her own birthday, wandered away from the others and leaned with her back against a fence while holding the camera in front of her. Unfortunately, her support gave way and she plummeted roughly 40 feet, a height greater than that of a telephone pole. One member of the group, only identified as Anton, told a media outlet that he heard someone say Anna fell down and initially thought it was a joke. He realized the tragic reality upon seeing people gather to the side of the bridge. Krupeniakova suffered critical injuries from which she didn't recover. Local authorities launched an investigation to determine the accident's circumstances, including if Krupeniakova had been intoxicated at the time and if there were maintenance issues with the railing against which she'd leaned. Number 6. Zoe Snokes. In the fall of 2021, a Belgian woman fell to her death from a cliff in the province of Luxembourg while on a road trip with her husband. Yuri Janssen told a media outlet that since the onset of the pandemic, he and his wife, 33-year-old Zoe Snokes, had begun driving through Europe in their camper van. The couple, traveling with their 2 dogs, would take photos of the landscapes they encountered along the way. On the day of Snokes' accident, the couple had reportedly awoken early to take photos of a vertical rock face that rose high above the Ortha River near the village of Nadrin. At the time, Snokes was posing on the edge of a cliff. She told Janssen, her high school sweetheart, who she'd married in 2012, to look out for the dogs. The man did so and estimated that he'd lost sight of his wife for only a few seconds. When he turned around again, she'd vanished without a trace. Janssen remembered hearing no scream or sound to indicate what had happened to his partner, and he tried calling for her, but to no avail. Janssen then attempted contacting the emergency services, but he had no network, so he rushed to a nearby hotel for help. He would later learn that his wife had plummeted roughly 100 feet into the river. Recovery teams consisting of police, firefighters, a medical helicopter, and scuba divers searched the area and recovered her body. Upon unlocking her phone, Janssen discovered a photo taken by Snokes which he described as her very last selfie, that in the background also showed the river in which she'd fallen. Number 5. Ashok Bhatti. In September of 2017, an Indian man was fatally trampled by an elephant after he'd attempted to capture a selfie with the wild animal. 50-year-old Ashok Bhatti had allegedly been drinking alcohol before approaching the elephant near Kwan Ramunda, Odisha state. What followed was caught on video by witnesses who'd watched the encounter unfold from a safe distance. According to an assistant conservator for the forest, the lone elephant was stressed and disoriented as it had become separated from its herd. Forest officials were actually in the process of guiding it back to its group at the time. In trying to get a selfie with the elephant, Bhatti made it feel threatened and was charged. He tried to run away but tripped and was run over by the rampaging elephant, suffering critical crushing injuries. An ambulance was called to the scene, but unfortunately, Bhatti died en route to the hospital. Number 4. Cristina Valdeviano Mansell. 33-year-old Cristina Valdeviano Mansell died on November 2nd of 2021 following a fall that occurred while she was attempting to take a selfie from a viewpoint in the city of Punta Arenas in Chile's southernmost administrative district of Magallanes and Chilean Antarctica. Mansell went to the Cerro de la Cruz observation deck, a popular lookout spot in the area, after parking her car on a street nearby. Mansell sat on a handrail located on the edge of a steep drop and tried to take a selfie with the cityscape in the background. She was reported to have then lost her balance while leaning back and suffered a plunge of roughly 23 feet. Mansell landed hard on her head and died instantly. Police didn't rule out some form of foul play, but the preliminary results of their investigation indicated that the woman's demise had been accidental. Number 3. Igor Kemeta. In 2015, while trying to replicate a stunt from his favorite movie, a young man from Serbia was run over by a train. 22-year-old Igor Kemeta was described as a stunt enthusiast who, according to his friend Marko Miloš, was always doing crazy things. Kemeta wanted to recreate a scene from the Serbian movie Barking at the Stars, in which a character played by actor Nikola Jurico proved how fast he was by outrunning a train. Miloš reported that Kemeta had planned to take a selfie in front of the moving vehicle to act as proof of the stunt. Local police told media that he'd begun to run alongside the railway track with his phone in hand as the train passed through the village of Lakarak, near the northern town of Sremska Mitrovica. He was then struck at full speed and died on the spot. Details of how the stunt had gone wrong remained unspecified, but the authorities did, however, report that Kemeta had tried to take a selfie in the moments leading up to his death. Number 2. Andrei Retrovetsky. Russian extreme selfie enthusiast Andrei Retrovetsky would often climb to the top of tall buildings and structures to take daring photos that he'd subsequently upload to his social media. For his latest stunt, Retrovetsky, who was in his late teens, had planned to take a photo while hanging from the side of a building in the city of Vologda in September of 2015. It was meant to make him look as though he'd fallen from the roof, but the teenager had used a rope to secure himself. Unfortunately, his safety line snapped and Retrovetsky fell 9 stories, landing in some bushes below. Even though they'd absorbed some of the impact, the teenager suffered severe injuries to which he succumbed in a hospital roughly 2 hours later. His death came at a time when Russia had been experiencing a string of selfie-related deaths involving cases of explosions, falls, accidental shootings, and electrocution. These incidents prompted the authorities to launch a Safe Selfie campaign, the tagline of which read, "Even 1 million likes on social media are not worth your life." Number 1. Hatice Nur Karabulut. In October of 2021, a young woman dropped to her death from a viaduct in Adana, Turkey, while she was reportedly in the process of taking a selfie. Hatice Nur Karabulut, aged 21, and her cousin were at the Vardar Viaduct, an arch railway structure built by German engineers in the early 1900s. Her cousin, 26-year-old Mazlum Sozeri, was visiting from Spain. Karabulut decided to take him to the bridge, a popular tourist attraction that was also featured in the opening chase scene of the 2012 James Bond movie Skyfall. Shortly after 5:30 p.m., as the pair was posing for a selfie, Karabulut, who'd recently started working as a chef at a local restaurant, lost her balance and fell from the bridge. Sozeri tried to grab hold of her, but in doing so went over the edge as well. Karabalut plummeted an estimated 160 feet, a height comparable to that of Paris's Arc de Triomphe. The emergency services were called to the scene and rescuers winched the cousins from where they'd landed via a crane. Karabalut suffered devastating injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene, while Sozeri was transported to a hospital in a condition described as non-life-threatening. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have all your social media profile pictures be uploaded from your phone at random, or spend 48 hours in solitary confinement? Let us know in the comments section below.